Sumayyah.
Awesome. And just check this mail, like I can push and record everything, you're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, you mentioned you lived in Capitol Hill, right?
Yeah.
What's like your experience been like in that neighborhood? How long have you been there?
I've been there for around a month now, but I've lived there before for like around 3 or 4 months. It's a very interesting experience. I like it because I just feel like in general all of DC is very much an international hub. So you're always meeting very interesting people, and you're always seeing demonstrations and protests and just kind of like all sides of it. You're right next to like the Capitol building, so you're seeing these big politicians, and then they have like Eastern Market where there's like a lot of festivals and community events. So I like it. It's interesting, cool place to be. Yeah.
So is that part of like, why would you say that you chose to live in Capitol Hill?
I think price. It was just like the cheapest place I could find. But also I think the neighborhood itself is really pretty, especially in the fall when the leaves like turn, like orange and stuff. It's very safe, and just like walking around, it feels very, like neighborhood's like very aesthetic. So yeah, I would say that's why I chose it. And yeah, it's close to like where I need to be. So.
Yeah, do you work near Capitol Hill?
I used to. Now I go to school, so at GW.
Awesome. Can you talk about maybe some of like your earliest or like even your favorite, if you don't remember, like memories of Capitol Hill neighborhood, like kind of like what you think of when you think of the neighborhood or something like that?
Okay, my earliest memory was probably like 2 years ago. They had the Library of Congress like live nights that they would do on Thursdays, I think. And it was my first time going to the Library of Congress, and it was really pretty. And I had been in DC for a while, like around like 2 months, and I was like, how have I never been to this side? It was like very different from the rest of the city, and like the Library of Congress is very beautiful, especially on the inside with like the high roofs and like the pretty paintings. So after doing the live night and like kind of seeing the exhibition, we just kind of like walked around the neighborhood. And it just didn't feel like I was in DC. I'm from Houston, so like I'm not used to like seeing such a like pretty city. So it was fun just like walking around at night and like being able to see like each house have its own like unique character, and like especially like around the holiday times, so yeah.
Is like there a place in the neighborhood you think is like really important to you personally?
There is a park near where I live, and I like to walk there. They have like a nice little like children's playground with like a seesaw on it, so I like to go on that sometimes. I like that area. It's nice. Yeah.
Why do you think it's meaningful to you? Is it like kind of routine, or is like there a special memory there?
Both. Just being able to usually like just walk around at night. It's really safe and quiet there, away from like all the cars and the busyness, so you can just like it's like weird because you're in the middle of the city, but it's also very peaceful. Just like going there and being able to like think after a busy day. So yeah.
Have there been any like kind of hard moments for you living in Capitol Hill, or like challenges you kind of faced in the neighborhood?
Challenges and hard moments, not really. I would say maybe something like challenging, but not even challenging, it's more like interesting, is like when there's protests. It's always interesting to see because it's like for me it's a good thing to see. It's like like the people have a voice, and like seeing movements that you might not have like thought about before and educating yourself on them. There's always like a grim side to that, obviously, because usually protests aren't for like a good reason. But yeah, I'll say that. Well, I haven't been there for long, so it wouldn't be able to say. I guess like a lot of construction, that's a change I've seen, and like there's like some old buildings that are like being replaced with like newer ones, and it's like, oh, I like the old building, And obviously, like there's a lot of presence of like the National Guard now, which is like very uncomfortable to see. And since I take like Union Station a lot, just like seeing their presence and hearing about a lot of things that happen, that's, you know, obviously very like upsetting to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, how does that like make you feel like when you're standing at Union Station and that's like, what's kind of like going on in your head, or how do you feel seeing that?
Obviously it's a horrible feeling, you know, like it's intimidation, and I'm privileged enough to say that I haven't like faced any of like what's happening, but it is like saddening to see that like I can look at them and I can just feel like uncomfortable, but a lot of people feel more than just that. They feel like fear, and you know, like where I live there's a lot of international students, and they're like, they don't take that station because they're very uncomfortable and they just don't feel safe. So I know, you know, it's kind of like almost like a privileged feeling in a sense, because it's like, you know, I'm able to just look at them and like feel uncomfortable, but I know for like a lot of people it goes deeper than that. So yeah.
Do you feel like any more or less safe since they've been there?
Indifferent. You know, I kind of just see them standing around. Yeah, I haven't really seen a difference, to be honest. Yeah, the same.
And then just to wrap up, I'm curious, like, are there like kind of changes you'd like to see in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, or like, you know, a future version of it?
Changes. I think it's a nice neighborhood. You know, it's very like anytime I go out, I see a lot of families out, and it's like a nice place. Like I'd want to like, you know, raise a family there one day. I guess changes like leave the libraries open later. You know, it's like I'm a student, I can't like study anywhere, and having more like community building events would be nice to like bring more people together. You know, I feel like everyone's just kind of off in their own sections. So yeah, that'd be cool.
There's a little bit less of a community in Capitol Hill?
Yeah. I would say so. I haven't lived much in other neighborhoods, but usually if there are events going on, other than like Eastern Market and a handful of others, they're not really like, you know, like, you can't like interact much with like the people who you literally like live in the same neighborhood with. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, of course. Nice to